So in today's video, I'm going to be ranking all the characters that we got to see in part 1. When I say part 1, I mean I'm only going to be using evidence from part 1 and excluding everything we learned during part 2. For example, when I'm ranking Jiraiya, I'm not going to be considering Sage mode for when I rank him. So in a way, this will be like a trip down memory lane and we can see what our perspective was like before part 2. I'm also going to be ranking people based on what caliber of shinobi they are and not necessarily just their raw power and strength. I'd also like to add a disclaimer that this list is somewhat subjective and this is just my opinion. I may be incorrect on some things. I'd also like to say that just because someone is higher than someone else on this list doesn't mean they can beat them in a one-on-one. If I went by that logic, it would be very convoluted and I wouldn't be able to do this list. So anyway, I'm going to be counting down from 10 and I'll give some honorable mentions before number 1. Let's go ahead and start the list. At number 10 I have Gaara. Gaara was portrayed as one of the best genin in part 1 and he even improved in between the Chunin exams and the Sasuke retrieval arc. His manipulation of sand is underrated in my opinion. Feats wise, he was able to tank hits from a 5th gate Lee, and that's honestly insane. By the end of that fight, he was totally spent, but it's impressive nonetheless. Gaara was also able to stalemate Naruto, and he pushed Kimimaro to his limit. If we look at that Kimimaro fight, he was able to create a tsunami of sand and bury the entire forest surrounding him in sand. That's an ability that has some raw power to say the least. At the end of part 1, he even had magnet release, and this gave him the option to make his sand harder than metal. This allowed for him to block Kimimaro's strongest attack with relative ease. Overall, Gaara was a prodigy that had a pretty one-dimensional skill set, but he was still a powerful shinobi. At number 9, I have Kimimaro. In a way, he was the second to final boss during the last arc of part 1, and that's pretty impressive. He was the strongest of the Sound 5 and was the Orochimaru Sasuke before Sasuke was. Kimimaro was the last surviving member of the Kaguya clan, and therefore Kaguya is his ancestor. His Kekkei Genkai was so special that Orochimaru considered making him his vessel until he met Sasuke. His Kekkei Genkai, of course, is bones, and it's kind of one-dimensional, but then again, it's pretty powerful. Feats-wise, Kimimaro was able to fight with a QB-amped Naruto, drunken Rock Lee, and a Gaara who was next in line for Kazekage. This was in a row, by the way. He first fought QB-amped Naruto, who summoned hundreds of clones that Kimimaro took out with ease. After fighting hundreds of QB-amped Narutos, Rock Lee showed up and this allowed for Naruto to pursue Sasuke while Rock Lee fought him. Lee even got drunk on accident, and for whatever reason this makes his taijutsu even better. It's pretty stupid, but whatever. Kimimaro was kind of losing to Lee until he started to protrude bones from his body. So Kimimaro was able to defeat one of the best taijutsu users in the series with taijutsu. Lee was recovering from a catastrophic injury during this fight, but Kimimaro's best feats come against Gaara. After Kimimaro was able to fend off Naruto and Lee with ease, Gaara had to fight him, and this is where we see his limits. During this fight, Kimimaro barely even got to touch Gaara, but he endured through all of Gaara's attacks. Gaara first covered Kimimaro's body in sand, and then used a sand coffin on him and it didn't even work. Kimimaro had to create another layer of bones, and he also had to go into Curse Mark Stage 1 in order to not get crushed. Now mind you, a sand coffin has been shown to easily crush through humans. But anyway, after that he even had the physical strength to get out of this sand coffin, but this is where Gaara buried him in a sand tsunami. Gaara literally made a tsunami made of sand that covered the surrounding area for what looked like miles around them, and put Kimimaro at the bottom of all this sand. Gaara then did another sand coffin, but it didn't even work. Kimimaro activated his stage 2 curse mark, and he even dug himself out of the tsunami. After that, Gaara's sand almost had no effect on Kimimaro, and he was able to break through it. Gaara's sand was considered the ultimate defense, and Kimimaro was easily breaking through it with his stage 2 curse mark. He even pushed Gaara to the point that he had to use magnet release to stop Kimimaro's strongest attack. Let me remind you that magnet release makes sand harder than metal, and even after this unsuccessful attack, Kimimaro was buried 200 meters in the ground by Gaara. This still didn't kill him, and what exactly killed him though was his terminal illness later on in the battle. Anyways, Kimimaro has a one-dimensional set of abilities, but he was able to do things such as easily break through Gaara's sand, which was considered the ultimate defense. At number 8 I have Naruto Uzumaki. We all know about Naruto, so I'm not going to go super in depth on him.
One of his biggest feats would be that he was able to defeat the One Tails. At 12 years old, he was able to defeat a tail beast, and that's pretty insane. This was because he could summon Gamabunta, but besides that, he was able to create 2,000 shadow clones, and that just shows how deep his chakra reserves can be. Along with his summoning and his shadow clones, he can also use the Rasengan, which is an A rank jutsu. On top of that, he learned it in only a few days, so this just shows how incredible his work ethic is. Naruto is able to defeat Neji, incapacitate Kabuto and Gaara, and he took Sasuke to his absolute limit at the final valley. Naruto's the real deal, but he still had a lot of growing to do after part 1. At number 7 I have Sasuke Uchiha, and that should come at no surprise. He barely defeated Naruto at the final valley, and that's why he gets placed one spot above him. Sasuke was a prodigy and had always been portrayed as one of the best in part 1. His Sharingan was so valuable that it made Orochimaru replace Kimimaro with Sasuke. Sasuke could use multiple fire style jutsus, and he learned the Chidori, which is obviously a very lethal jutsu. Along with those abilities, he was able to obtain a 3 Tomoe Sharingan at the final valley, and his curse mark could reach stage 2, and that gave him a sizable power amp. I mean, at the end of part 1, Sasuke was able to keep up with the QB amped Naruto thanks to his Sharingan, and Naruto was running way past the speed of sound at that point. His Sharingan also allowed him to copy Rock Lee's Taijutsu, and to an extent his speed, and the copying ability of the Sharingan in part 1 was frankly broken. Sasuke was able to compete with Gaara, and he also defeated Naruto at the end of part 1. Without a doubt, he was the strongest genin of his generation. At number 6 I have Kakashi Hatake. Kakashi was a talented shinobi, and even Tsunade told him that he was supposed to be the best when she healed him after his fight with Itachi. I think she was teasing him a little bit here, but Kakashi was definitely the best out of his generation in the Leaf. People joke about how we never got to see his full arsenal of 1,000 jutsus, but he definitely did have a great variety of abilities compared to other characters. He had one Sharingan, and he could use all 5 chakra natures, which basically meant he could copy almost any jutsu. In part 1, we got to see him use Water Style, Water Dragon, Earth Style, Fang Pursuit, and Chidori. Feats-wise, Kakashi was able to stomp Zabuza after he escaped his water prison. And even when they had their rematch, Kakashi had the upper hand for most of the time, and Hako even had to sacrifice her life in order to save Zabuza's. This is pretty impressive considering that Zabuza is one of the 7 ninja swordmen. Also, during Orochimaru's attack on the Leaf, we saw Kakashi was able to take out dozens of sound Jonin along with Guy. Kakashi's downsides though was that he was always the guy that had to lose in the fight. He was essentially the benchmark in part 1, and this is shown when he loses to Itachi, and Orochimaru is able to intimidate Kakashi enough that Kakashi has to pull out a Chidori and proclaim that he can kill Orochimaru. We also only really got to see him fight once in part 1, so our knowledge on him is somewhat limited. He is a good all-around shinobi with a wide variety of abilities in his arsenal. At number 5 I have Tsunade. Tsunade was one of the 3 legendary Sannin, and was strong enough that she was even given the title of 5th Hokage. She was portrayed as one of the best during part 1, and she has the feats to back it up. Back in part 1, the title of Sannin was like a god symbol, and she was one of the legendary 3, and this automatically made her better than almost everyone else. Tsunade obviously had tremendous physical strength, and was not someone you'd want to fight in close quarters combat. Along with her tremendous strength, she had her 100 healing jutsu. This jutsu's healing capabilities were so great that she was able to almost instantly fully recover from when Orochimaru stabbed her several times in a row. Essentially, we have someone that can incapacitate you with one punch, and a lethal wound would be healed almost instantly if you do manage to deal damage to her. This is a powerful combination, and this is why she's number 5 on this list. I mean, she was able to hold her own along with Jiraiya and Orochimaru during the 3-way deadlock. She was a very powerful shinobi that earned her title as Sannin, and this means that she was better than almost anyone else that was not part of Team Hiruzen. At number 4 I have Jiraiya. Jiraiya was Naruto's teacher and one of the legendary Sannin. The title of Sannin gave him a god status, and that's why he's number 4. He was so powerful that he was the first one offered to be the 5th Hokage, but he turned it down. His main abilities are his Rasengan and his ability to summon toads like Gamabunta. He also has some other useful abilities like using his hair as armor. He actually doesn't have a lot of feats though, so it's kind of hard to rank him. It would have been great if we got to see Orochimaru and Jiraiya fight during the 3-way deadlock,
but the both of them were so heavily handicapped that it turned out pretty disappointing. We don't ever see him directly fight any character in part 1 at full power, but since he is a Sannin and we know a few of his abilities, I'll put him in the top 5. I'm sure that there are some of you thinking about the time that Itachi said that he and Kisame would have trouble taking down Jiraiya, but I can debunk that statement. Obviously, we discover in part 2 that Itachi was not evil, so it would make sense that he told Kisame they shouldn't fight him because he wouldn't want to kill or injure Jiraiya. For this video though, I'm only allowed to use information from part 1, but I can still debunk it. We can tell from that when the Akatsuki dude was fighting Kakashi and his allies, Itachi obviously was trying to cause as little commotion as possible. When Itachi was confronted by some Leaf Shinobi, he had to tell Kisame to hold back several times. Kisame wanted to have a big fight and kill them, but Itachi kept telling them that they just needed to focus on their target. That's why Itachi put Kakashi down with Genjutsu and didn't just outright kill him, because that would cause a lot of commotion. So Itachi's behavior shows that he didn't want to fight anyone, much less kill them, because he didn't want to draw attention. This is why he told Kisame that fighting Jiraiya would be a bad idea, and this is why they retreated when Jiraiya confronted them. In conclusion, Jiraiya was a powerful shinobi and was one of the 3 legendary Sannin. He had some solid abilities, but he lacked some feats, and this makes him kinda hard to rank. At number 3, I have the 3rd Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. Being the Hokage means you're one of the best shinobi in your village, and in Hiruzen's case, he was the best. He was Hokage for about 50 years, and even at the age of about 70, he was still the strongest ninja in his village. He had all 5 chakra natures. He also said that he knew every jutsu in the leaf, and this is supported since he used the Inuzuka's sense of smell during his fight with Orochimaru, and that's supposed to be an ability that's exclusive to their clan. Hiruzen had to go up against the first 2 Hokages when Orochimaru reanimated them. They were both heavily weakened, but Hiruzen still managed to use the Reaper Death Seal on them at the cost of his own life. And then after that, he was able to seal off Orochimaru's arms, and this would have eventually killed Orochimaru, but since he knows the secret to immortality, he was able to live on. He did all of this at the age of 70, and even Orochimaru said that if Hiruzen had been 10 years younger, he wouldn't have been able to defeat him. Overall, Hiruzen was an excellent shinobi who was the strongest in the leaf even at age 70. At number 2, I have Orochimaru. He was the highest of Team Hiruzen on this list, and if Hiruzen had been younger in part 1, then I would have put him above Orochimaru. Anyway, Orochimaru was the main villain in part 1, and he filled that role excellently. When I used to watch Naruto as a kid, Orochimaru terrified me, and I'm sure many other people can agree with me there. He had a presence that scared even most high-level Jonin, including Kakashi. Orochimaru had all 5 chakra natures, but he preferred to use snakes for the most part. He can summon snakes that rival Gamabunta in size, and he's very proficient in close quarters combat. His durability is also so high that he was able to take a point-blank punch from Tsunade. He was even able to defeat Hiruzen in battle, and he was the strongest ninja in the leaf. On top of that, he had the ability to reanimate the first 2 Hokages, and he also had several ninja that were completely loyal to him. This includes Kabuto, the Sound 4, and Kimimaro. Those are some powerful allies, and I can't see anyone wanting to go up against that, except for perhaps number 1 on this list. Before I talk about number 1, I need to talk about my honorable mentions and why certain people are where they are on this list. First, I'll address Zabuza, because yes, I know that he was able to trap Kakashi in a water prison jutsu. That's impressive and all, but we saw after Naruto and Sasuke bailed out Kakashi, Zabuza got destroyed, and even during their rematch, he was consistently outclassed by Kakashi. If that's not good enough for you, then try to argue that Zabuza can beat either Kimimaro or Gaara. I don't see him being able to do that. As for Guy, I didn't want to rank him because we never really saw him fight in part 1. We saw him spar with a few characters and it's implied that he's pretty strong, but we don't even see him open any gates at all. I can't rank him because there's just a lack of information. As for Kabuto, I know that Jiraiya said that he could go toe-to-toe with Kakashi, but Jiraiya's intel on Kabuto was probably wrong. Why else would Kabuto decide to retreat when Kakashi confronted him? Kabuto also got incapacitated by Naruto, and I don't see him beating any of the lower ranked characters on this list. As for Rock Lee, he wasn't able to beat Gaara, and Gaara is number 10 on this list. And also, we never saw Kisame do anything, so I can't rank him either. I think that covers everyone, but if I missed something, say so in the comments. And at number 1, I have Itachi Uchiha. Before you dislike the video, I'd like to remind you that Orochimaru flat out said that Itachi is better than him. And if you want to talk about Itachi saying that he wouldn't want to fight Jiraiya, then go to the part where I talk about Jiraiya on this list. When Itachi first appeared in the Leaf Village, his presence alone put the Leaf in a state of alarm. Kakashi himself was on edge the whole time he fought him and warned his allies by saying that Itachi was an Anbu captain at 13. At 13 years old, Itachi had the highest ranking Jonin position, and he didn't even have a Mangekyo Sharingan yet. Itachi was a prodigy, and during his fight with Kakashi and others, he barely even did anything, and it scared the crap out of them. Eventually, Kakashi even told Asuma and Kurenai to close their eyes because Itachi could beat them just by looking into their eyes. Kakashi thought he would be immune since he had a Sharingan, but he was wrong. Itachi's Tsukiyomi allowed him to mentally torture Kakashi for what felt like an eternity, but virtually no time had passed at all in the real world. He literally beat Kakashi by looking into his eyes. He also was able to escape Jiraiya's supposedly inescapable trap with Amaterasu. This means that Itachi could either beat you by looking into your eyes, or beat you with a fire so hot it could escape a Sanin's inescapable trap. We didn't know too much about Itachi, but what we did know made him so powerful that even Orochimaru said he was stronger than him. That's all for this video, and if you enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future. If you have anything to say about this video, then comment it in the comments section down below. Thank y'all for watching, and I guess I'll see y'all next time.